This segment is brought to you by Barker Honda. It's better at Barker.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I am your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And anytime we need to get updates from things that are happening over in Lafourche Parish, we reach out to Captain Brendan Mathern. Captain Mathern, thanks again for joining us today.
Thanks for having us, Keith.
Absolutely. And so I know anytime we have some arrest, you like to share that information. Let's talk a little bit about this situation for the man, the Golden Meadow man arrested for sexual battery.
Yeah, it's an investigation, and these investigations are always very intriguing, Keith, because in this case, it involves sexual abuse that stems back 2 decades.
Oh,
and
wow.
Inevitably, and the whole purpose of putting these out is because we anticipate that there's the potential for other victims. And I can tell you that we've already been contacted by a couple of people since we put this out. So again, all of that still remaining under investigation. But for now, we can tell you that 49-year-old Joshua Dismukes of Golden Meadow was arrested. Juvenile detectives actually opened this investigation after a woman came forward with some allegations of sexual abuse that began more than 20 years ago when she was a child. She is now an adult. The most recent incident, though, occurred in her adulthood in July. So just last month, when he reportedly touched her inappropriately and without consent. So after conducting the investigation, even obtaining a search warrant for his residence and other items, they eventually obtained a warrant for his arrest, and he was arrested on August 11th. He was charged with 1 count of sexual battery, and that is for the July incident. Bail is set at $100,000. Now, Keith, obviously, this may just be the tip of the iceberg when it comes to charges. That investigation is going to continue, and if juvenile detectives are able to establish probable cause for charges dating back potentially a couple of decades, he may be looking at other charges involving juveniles.
Yeah, and again, what we see very often with this type of behavior is it is not always isolated. Much like you said, you've already had some people reaching out to contact you. And these types of people with this, we call it deviant behavior in our psychological world. And so that deviant behavior very often is satisfied with other people. It's just a really sad situation that we have this inappropriate touching of young women by an older gentleman.
Yeah, and that's the whole purpose of us doing news releases on it. And I know when people read these news releases, that they assume the worst of people and they assume the worst of our community at times. Unfortunately, this type of abuse occurs in every community. We just are very proactive about sharing it because we believe that in sharing it, it can inspire other victims to come forward. And more times than not, when we suspect that there's potentially other victims, we do have other victims come forward, and we're able to conduct those investigations. In this situation, you have a woman that is well into her adulthood. Over 20 years ago, the abuse began by this man and has continued into her adulthood. And she was brave enough to come forward with these allegations. And again, now Joshua Dismukes, 49-year-old from Golden Meadow, now facing the first charge. Of course, this incident occurred in Golden Meadow, so obviously Golden Meadow police were the first to respond to the complaint. Our detectives assisted, as we normally do, in more complex investigations. So thank you to Chief Michelle Lafont and her staff as well for their cooperation in this investigation.
Well, and we appreciate that. Very often if there are some other people, other victims, and they come together, quite frankly, sometimes that one person who's brave enough to do that, when there's some other victims, then they have that comfort of saying, well, you know what, this happened to me too. And now we have these people that feel supported enough to come and do this. Because very often people make, the people who have this deviant behavior, they make these threats that don't ever say anything. and they make threats that sometimes they'll either harm them or do other things. And so it's always good when they have that camaraderie of someone else that has come forward. And so, like I said, we look forward to hearing more from you about that. But we're very thankful to both the Golden Meadow Police Department as well as the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office about handling that. In other, a little better news, well, let's talk a little bit about this cadet class, 129 at the POST Regional Training Academy for the graduation. They had 25 cadets in 10 different agencies across the state pictured here. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I know we used the term, like you said, POST, post. We use it pretty regularly, and it stands for Peace Officers Standards and Training. And it is the standard by which all police officers, all peace officers, all law enforcement officers are trained throughout the state of Louisiana. And that means that as long as you take that post academy, as long as you attend a post academy anywhere in the state, you can be certified as a law enforcement officer, as a peace officer anywhere in the state. So the picture that you're going to see here is of the 25 cadets from 10 different agencies, obviously including the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office. So these are agencies from around the state of Louisiana that attend our post Sheriff's Academy here in Lafourche Parish. And they graduated last night, attended graduation ceremony. So we all want to congratulate them. And today they begin their first day officially as a certified peace officer. So the difference, Keith, just for those people, like, for example, all of our correctional officers that work in a jail, they have to go through some level of training, some level of post training to be specific. It's called a level 3 training. These are all level 1 post certified people. So they now have arrest powers, and that's what separates a correctional officer from, say, a deputy that you would see on the street. They've gone through hundreds of more hours of training to be able to handle all those situations.
Well, we appreciate you very much. Congratulations to them, and thanks for all that you do.
Thank you, Keith.
All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment, but don't go anywhere. I got a whole lot more right here on Bayou Time.
This segment was brought to you by Barker Honda. It's better at Barker.